Dr. Angela Harris had spent 2 decades climbing the corporate ladder, from a junior analyst at a mid-tier firm to the CEO of Horizon Innovations, a tech company revolutionizing renewable energy storage. At 42, she was one of the youngest Black women to lead a company of its size, overseeing a workforce of 3,000 and a valuation nearing $2 billion. Her reputation for precision and integrity preceded her, but so did the whispers, some admiring, others skeptical, of her rapid rise in a world still dominated by old money and older biases. The deal with Whitaker Enterprises was supposed to be her crowning achievement. A $500 million partnership to integrate Horizon's cutting-edge battery technology into Whitaker's global supply chain for electric vehicles. The negotiations had been in motion for 6 months, with countless late-night calls, revised proposals, and delicate compromises. Angela had prepared meticulously, knowing the Whitaker family, led by patriarch Edward Whitaker and his children, Claire and Thomas, held sway not just in business, but in social circles that could make or break reputations. The final meeting was set for a Monday morning at Whitaker Enterprises headquarters in New York. Angela arrived with her CFO, Marcus Reed, and her lead engineer, Priya Sharma. They were ushered into a sleek conference room where Edward, Claire, and Thomas waited, flanked by their legal team and a few junior executives. Edward, a silver-haired man in his late 60s, greeted Angela with a handshake that felt more like a formality than a welcome. "Dr. Harris, good to see you," Edward said, his tone clipped. "Let's make this quick. We've got a tight schedule." Angela nodded, unfazed. "Of course, Mr. Whitaker. We're ready to finalize the terms." The discussion began smoothly, with Marcus outlining the financial projections and Priya detailing the technical specifications. Angela fielded questions with her usual clarity, citing data and deflecting curveballs with ease. But as the conversation shifted to the partnership's public announcement, Claire Whitaker, a sharp-eyed woman in her early 40s, leaned forward. "Angela, if I may," Claire said, her voice smooth but edged with something sharp. "Horizon's brand is niche. Our investors are used to working with established names. How do we address the perception that we're taking a risk on a company like yours?" Angela's jaw tightened, but her smile didn't waver. "Perception is managed through results, Ms. Whitaker. Horizon's technology has outperformed competitors in every major benchmark. Our patents are ironclad, and our production capacity is ready to scale. The numbers speak for themselves." Claire raised an eyebrow. "Numbers are one thing. Optics are another. Our stakeholders expect a certain pedigree. No offense, but your company's profile doesn't quite match our usual partners." The room grew quiet. Marcus shifted in his seat, and Priya's pen paused mid-note. Angela felt the sting of the word pedigree, but she kept her voice steady. "If by pedigree you mean a track record of innovation and profitability, Horizon's credentials are unmatched. We're not here to fit a mold. We're here to redefine it." Thomas, Edward's son, chuckled, a sound that carried more condescension than humor. "Redefine? That's bold, Dr. Harris. But let's be real. Your company's been around for, 8 years? We're talking about a $500 million deal. Our investors need to know they're not betting on a flash in the pan." Angela's eyes narrowed slightly. 8 years of consistent growth, Mr. Whitaker. We've secured contracts with 3 Fortune 500 companies and expanded into markets your firm is still trying to crack. If that's a flash, I'd love to see what you consider substance. Edward held up a hand, his expression unreadable. "Let's keep this civil. We're all here to make money, not trade barbs. Angela, your tech is impressive, no question. But Claire's right about optics. Our brand is global, historic. Yours is newer. We need to ensure this partnership doesn't raise eyebrows." Angela leaned back, her mind racing. The Whitakers weren't just negotiating terms, they were testing her. She'd faced this before, subtle digs dressed up as business concerns, questions that probed not just her company's worth but her own. She'd learned to navigate them, but something about this felt different. The air was thick with unspoken assumptions. "I understand the need for alignment," Angela said carefully. We've prepared a joint PR strategy to highlight the synergy between our brands. It emphasizes Whitaker's legacy and Horizon's innovation. We can share it now if you'd like. Claire waved a hand dismissively. We've seen it. It's fine, but it doesn't address the core issue. Our investors are traditional. They trust names they know. Your background, your company's, doesn't have that weight. Angela's pulse quickened. My background, she repeated, her tone measured. Could you clarify what you mean by that? Claire hesitated, then smiled thinly. It's just business, Angela. You're a newer player in a field where lineage matters. People talk. They notice who's at the table. The words hung in the air. Marcus coughed softly, and Priya's eyes flicked to Angela, searching for a cue. Angela felt the weight of the moment, the implication that her race, her journey, her very presence was a liability. She'd heard it before in boardrooms and back channels, but never so blatantly in a deal of this magnitude. Edward stepped in, his voice gruff. What Claire means is we need to manage perceptions carefully. This deal's high profile. We can't afford missteps. Angela nodded slowly, her mind calculating. I see. So, to be clear, you're concerned that my company, or perhaps my leadership, might not project the right image for your investors? Thomas smirked. Let's just say some of our stakeholders are particular. They like familiarity. You're a bit of an unknown quantity. The room felt smaller now, the air heavier. Angela's years of experience had taught her to recognize when a negotiation was veering into something else. This wasn't about terms or numbers. It was about power. The Whitakers were flexing theirs, testing how far they could push her. I'm not sure I follow, Angela said, her voice calm but firm. Horizon's financials are public. Our contracts are vetted. My leadership has been covered in Forbes, Bloomberg, and the Wall Street Journal. If your stakeholders are unfamiliar, I'd suggest they read more. A few of the junior executives stifled laughs, but Claire's smile vanished. That's cute, Angela, but this isn't about press clippings. It's about trust. Our investors trust us to partner with people who fit our world. Your world, Angela echoed. And what does that world look like exactly? Edward sighed, as if annoyed by the turn in conversation. Dr. Harris, let's not get sidetracked. We're trying to make this work, but you need to understand our position. This deal puts our name on the line. We have to be cautious. Angela's mind flashed to the countless hours she'd spent preparing for this moment. The late nights, the sacrifices, the barriers she'd broken through to get here. She thought of her team, who'd trusted her to lead them into this partnership. And she thought of the Whitakers, sitting across from her, wielding their privilege like a weapon. I understand caution, she said, her voice steady. But I'm here to discuss a partnership, not to audition for your approval. If your investors have concerns, we can address them with data, not innuendo. Claire leaned forward, her eyes glinting. It's not innuendo, Angela. It's reality. Our world moves on relationships, not just data. People need to feel comfortable. And, frankly, some of them won't feel comfortable with someone like you leading the charge. The words landed like a slap. Marcus gripped his pen tightly, and Priya's face hardened. Angela felt a surge of anger, but she channeled it into focus. She'd faced this before, veiled prejudice dressed up as pragmatism. But this was different. This was public, deliberate, and in front of her team. Someone like me? Angela repeated, her voice low. You'll need to be more specific, Ms. Whitaker. Are we talking about my credentials, my experience, or something else entirely? The room was silent. Edward shifted uncomfortably, but Claire didn't back down. You know what I mean, she said. This is a big stage. Not everyone's ready for it. Angela's heart pounded, but her face remained composed. She'd built Horizon from nothing, turned it into a powerhouse despite every obstacle. She'd earned her place at this table. And yet, here was Claire Whitaker, reducing her to a stereotype in a room full of witnesses. I've been ready for this stage since I was 25, Angela said, her voice cutting through the tension. I've built a company that's outperformed your expectations and your competitors. If your investors can't handle that, Maybe they're the ones who don't belong at this table. Thomas laughed, a sharp, dismissive sound. That's a bold move, Dr. Harris, but it doesn't change the math. You need us more than we need you. This deal's a lifeline for Horizon. Without it, you're just another startup with big dreams. Angela's eyes locked onto his. A lifeline? Horizon's revenue grew 40% last year. We have contracts lined up through 2027. This deal was an opportunity, not a necessity. If you think we're desperate, you've misread the room. Edward raised a hand, his tone conciliatory. Let's dial this back. We're not questioning your success, Angela. We're just being upfront about the challenges. This partnership needs to work for both sides. Angela nodded, but her mind was made up. She'd come here to close a deal, not to endure a lecture on her place in their world. The Whitakers had crossed a line, and she wasn't going to let it slide. I appreciate your candor, she said, standing and gathering her papers. But I'm not here to beg for your approval. If your investors can't see the value in Horizon, or in me, then this partnership isn't worth pursuing. We're done here. Marcus and Priya exchanged glances, then stood to follow her. Claire's face flushed with surprise. You're walking away from $500 million? That's a mistake, Angela. Angela turned, her gaze steady. The mistake was thinking I'd tolerate disrespect to get it. Good luck finding another partner with our tech. You'll need it. As they left the room, Angela's phone buzzed with notifications. The meeting had been live-streamed to select investors, a detail the Whitakers hadn't mentioned. Clips were already circulating online, with comments pouring in. Some called Claire's remarks tone-deaf, others praised Angela's poise. By the time she reached the elevator, #HorizonWalks was trending. Back at Horizon's headquarters, Angela convened her executive team. The mood was tense but resolute. Marcus spoke first. Angela, that was bold, but the fallout's real. Our stock's taking a hit. Investors are nervous. Angela nodded. I know. But we didn't get here by compromising our principles. The Whitakers thought they could bully us into submission. They miscalculated. Priya leaned forward. What's our next move? We've got other suitors, but none with Whitaker's reach. We pivot, Angela said. We accelerate our talks with Global Tech and Orion Systems. Their offers are smaller, but they're hungry for our tech. And they don't play games with optics. The team spent the next week in a frenzy of meetings, calls, and strategy sessions. Angela worked tirelessly, reassuring investors and rallying her staff. The media frenzy grew, with outlets dissecting the Whitaker meeting. Some painted Angela as a hero for standing up to corporate elitism. Others questioned her judgment in walking away from a massive deal. A week later, Claire Whitaker issued a public apology, claiming her comments were misinterpreted. Edward followed with a statement about mutual respect and a vague offer to reopen discussions. Angela ignored them. She'd already signed a $400 million deal with Global Tech, with terms that gave Horizon more control and a clearer path to scale. The Whitaker fallout continued to ripple. Their stock dipped as investors questioned their judgment, and rumors swirled about internal tensions within the family. Angela, meanwhile, became a symbol of resilience. Invitations poured in for speaking engagements, and her LinkedIn posts about leadership and integrity went viral. At a board meeting a month later, Marcus raised a glass. To Angela, who reminded us what we're made of. Angela smiled, but her thoughts were elsewhere. She'd won this round, but the fight wasn't over. The corporate world was still a battlefield, and she was ready for the next one.